She looked over at Hyung and he was just kind of silent, and she's just like, so he said, come on, let's go take the bus. So while they're walking to go up the stairs to the bus, she's like, why do you want to take the bus? The train is so much faster. He said, that was my ex, let's go. What's up, idols? It's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we have another submission from the viewers. I just want to say I am very grateful to you guys for taking the time, because the detail in these emails, not only are there screenshots, but it's, you know, sitting there and recalling the details, typing it out, making sure you didn't miss anything. I know that takes time, and I'm really grateful because it allows me to spread out my story times, because I won't be back in Korea until September. We're hoping to do like a Korea-Japan joint trip, me and some of my friends. And the last time I went to Japan was in 2017. That was before I was even YouTubing, so I never got a chance to vlog there. So yeah, I'm really excited. And it's funny because a year ago today, I was in Korea. Like, I left to go to Korea and I spent the whole summer there. So I'm actually looking forward to spending this summer here in Europe, because I am not a fan of hot weather, so I knew I didn't want to go back over there during the summertime. Over here, the summers are supposed to be more mild, but with climate change, we'll see. Anyway, whether you want to warn us, share your love, or spill some tea, you can email me at cclesson3@yahoo.com if you want to share your story with us. You can remain anonymous, like, again, with today's viewer. She said, in keeping aligned with like the Disney princess theme, she wants to be called Ariel, especially Little Mermaid's coming out Friday, and I can't wait. So this is a little story.
All about how my life got flipped, turned upside down.
JK. So this story is about a foreigner, her Korean man, and how the ex tried to break them up. By the way, if you hear barking, there are dogs downstairs. If you hear coughing, we do have someone sick in the background. I'm sorry. Get your tea and let's get into this story. So Ariel has been an English teacher in Korea for about 4 years now. She decided she wanted to experience life in Korea as a foreigner after watching Megan Bowen videos and Whitney Whitney, and seeing how foreigners could be fluent in Korean really motivated her to become fluent in Korean. And yes, she's fluent in Korean. She also said she was under the impression that if you wanted to be an English teacher over there, you had to speak Korean. You don't, by the way. They actually discourage you speaking Korean to your students because they want the kids and the students to rely on English to communicate with you, or whatever language you're teaching over there. So you don't have to learn Korean. It just makes your life way easier. So, you know, teaching is stressful. I've talked about it for years on my channel, and she, being new to this country, decided to do what Koreans do when they're stressed. You go out and drink on the weekends, flock to the clubs, you bar hop, you party all weekend. And she got really lucky. She made really close friends with the co-workers at her school, the other teachers. They would show her around town, showed her like the best bars, the worst bars, where you can go shopping, the grocery stores, the bus station, like everything you need to know to get around, you know, adjusting to life in a new country. She said really quickly they got very close. So yeah, it's one of those weekends. She's out drinking with the girls. They're drinking, they're dancing, they're having fun, enjoying their girl time. And midway through the night, they're like, yo, I'm starving. So they decided to go out and find some food to refuel up so they can keep drinking. So yeah, they went out, and luckily they were on like a clubby street, so there's plenty of restaurants that are open like 24 hours or open until like 5 a.m. So they found a pizza joint. She said, don't ask me why, I don't know why, I was craving something greasy and familiar, so I wanted some pizza. They head to the pizza place and she sees this man. She says she'd been drinking, but she could still tell that he was fine. And at first I'm like, well, you sure he wasn't fine?
Because he was drinking. Damn!
She said he was absolutely gorgeous, and because he was only out with like one other friend, one other guy friend, it made it easier for her to go over there and talk to him. You know, there's the liquid courage going on. She's just tunnel vision. She's like, he is fine. I need to make him mine. She ain't say that. So she goes right in his direction, and her friends, like, they're trying to stop him, like, what are you doing, what are you doing? You know, thinking she's not aware of her actions, but she's like, no, I want to talk to him. So she goes over there and she says, like, I don't want to be too forward, but I find you very attractive. Are you single? So this is cute. She said that he was like sitting there kind of just like gawked, just like and looked at his friend, and his friend was nudging him like, hey, blah, like, dead up, hey, answer her. So he blushed and laughed, and he's like, oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm just not used to girls being so forward, but I like it. And he said that he was single, newly single, and kind of just enjoying being single. He said he just went through a really bad breakup very recently. So Ariel's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Sometimes I forget where I am, because where I come from, it's totally normal for a girl to just go up to a guy and ask him out. She says she wants to get to know him better without making any girl uncomfortable, because one thing I guess she did learn in Korea, it is very common for girls to not like their guys having like girlfriends or female friends, and it's like that in the West and out, you know, you experience that kind of everywhere, but it is really common in Korea. So she said she didn't want to make anybody uncomfortable. He said that was considerate, and then he introduced himself as Hyung, and then she made this joke like, Hyung, but I'm a girl, so you're oppa. Yeah. You know, Hyung, you call an older guy Hyung if you're a boy, you call an older guy Oppa if you're a girl. Yeah, and they laughed, you know, they laughed it off. They ate their pizza kind of together and chatted a bit. And that was kind of the end. They exchanged cacaos, decided to stay in touch. But she wasn't really expecting too much because she's like, the amount of times I've been ghosted or the amount of times they immediately message back like, hey, can I f you? She wasn't expecting much. Even her friends were like, oh wow, he seems like the player type, and I can't believe you did that, you're so cool, like Western girls are so bold, and you know, like hyping her up. But she was like, you know, he does seem like he'd be a good match for you, hopefully it works out. So she said right now it's around 2 a.m. and they decided to get some drinks and like after the pizza and go to the park and kind of get some air. She said that the plan initially was to kind of party all night and wait until the train started running in the morning, but she said she was not gonna make it.
I can't make it. Go on without me.
She didn't want to be like a damper to the friends because they were still out having fun. They had all this energy. She was like, y'all built different. I can't do it. I'm gonna get a taxi. They tried to talk her out of it. She's like, I'm sorry, but I'm really tired. I'll let you know when I'm home and everything. They're like, yeah, let us know so we know you're safe. So she goes to the main street to catch the taxis because, you know, there's a lot of back roads and stuff where you can get taxis, but you have way better luck on the main street when there's more flow in traffic. So she went out there. She said it'd been about 10 minutes, no luck getting a taxi. And she looked over and she realized that she saw old boy Hyung from the pizza place, and she said she didn't want to be like overly thirsty or anything, so she was just gonna disregard him and maybe they were gonna text again later. So she's looking forward, you know, trying to focus on getting her taxi, and then he noticed her and was like, oh hi, and she was like, oh hi. She said it was like a really big wave, like he was right in her face. She was like, oh hi, like hi again. He's like, where are your friends? And she said they decided to stay and wait for the trains. And he was like, where's your friend? He's like, oh, I just put him in a taxi and now I'm trying to get one too. So he's like, oh my god, you've been trying to get a taxi for 10 minutes, let me help you. But she was like, nah, because at first she thought he was gonna try to wave the taxi down, jump in with her, and like, let's go to your house. She was like, no, I'm good. It shouldn't be too much longer. He's like, no, it'll be easier for me to get you a taxi. It's fine. I'll get you one and then I'll get one for me, okay? And she was like, okay, fine. He got her a taxi in like 3 minutes. And she was like, wow, like that's kind of fucked up, but whatever. He got her the taxi and then he, you know, waved her goodbye and everything, and he's like, I'll be in touch. And she's like, okay, cool, have a good night, and it was nice meeting you. And that's so wholesome. I remember 2 specific times where random Korean guys were just being nice and helped us get a taxi. They weren't trying to be pervy, they weren't trying to like ask for anything in return. They really just genuinely helped us get a taxi. One was in that story time I told you guys when I was clubbing in Gangnam during pandemic times when I really shouldn't have been, but I didn't know it was a club, so that's not my fault. And the second time was in Itaewon when my friend got fucked up. Like, she was really drunk and we were having difficulty getting her down the stairs, and this guy helped us and he helped us flag the tag. He put us in and, you know, waved goodbye and everything. That was just so nice and random and incredibly helpful. He didn't ask for anything in return. It was just a good gesture. So she says she's like sitting in the taxi on her way home and she's kind of like smiling to herself like, oh, I hope he stays this sweet. I wonder if I'll ever actually hear from him again. Bro, the next day he texted her. He texted her and he asked her, hey, are you as hungover as I am? And she said, oh wow, I'm surprised that you remember me if you were that drunk, like drunk enough to be hungover. And she was like, no, I didn't drink that much. How are you feeling? He's like, oh, I'm fine. I just need to recover, get some soup and get some water. She was like, wow, if you were that drunk, I'm surprised you remember me. And of course he's like, how could I forget you? I could never forget you. He said, and I quote, I couldn't forget you, the bold girl who approached me first. She said, since I'm being bold, we should hang out. She said, it doesn't have to be a date, you know, we can just hang out as just friends. And he was like, no, it should be a date. So she reminded him of the thing he said about his ex the night before, like, yeah, but didn't you just say you got out of a really bad relationship and you were enjoying being single, so let's just hang out with no pressure of a date. And she also says she was not interested in being anyone's rebound. So then he's going on about how that relationship was long over and it should have ended a lot sooner, and the reason he was out that night was because his friend insisted. It was like, look, you're free, you need to go out and have fun and remember what it's like to be out with your friends again. He said this girl used to guilt trip him. His ex used to guilt trip him into staying in a relationship with her. They were together for 4 years on and off, and that was actually part of the reason his friend was like, yeah, did that, hey, like answer her, you know, trying to encourage him to flirt and interact with another woman. So when Hyung was explaining the situation to Ariel about his ex, this is what he said. She was controlling, jealous, materialistic, and manipulative. She didn't let me spend time with my friends. She expected me to buy her stuff all the time, and if I missed one phone call, she threatened to hurt herself. I had an ex like that in uni, not everything, but the threatening to hurt themselves if you didn't communicate with them when and like how they expected, then and on their terms, then they did threaten to hurt them. So that happened to me in university, so that's not fun. I remember what that's like, and I really sympathize with this dude. So at this point, Ariel's listening, and she's like,
Hey yo, what the fuck?
you know, she's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I can't believe you had to deal with that. I cannot believe that happened, and for 4 years on and off, like, you must be traumatized. So yeah, he said that whenever it got to that point where he wanted to break up with her, like for good, she would always text him back, even if he blocked her, if he changed, well, he said he tried to change his number. I don't know if that meant he did or if she always found a new one, whatever that means. But she always found a way to get in contact with him, and she threatened to hurt herself if he didn't stay with her or respond to her or interact with her. So he stayed, and they had only broken up a month prior to him meeting Ariel. So yeah, she said, well, definitely after hearing that, I absolutely think we should just meet and hang out as friends. So there's no pressure of a date, and I can totally understand why you need space from that sort of pressure and environment. You know, let's just get to know each other friendly. We met having pizza, you know, let's just see where it goes. It doesn't have to be a date. And he agreed. He's like, yeah, you know what, you're right, let's just meet up as friends. So the following weekend, they had a really cute date in Seoul Forest where they did some bike riding. By the way, it's early summer for this time of year. I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm just imagining all the
바람이 날리며 흩날리는 벚꽃잎이
all those, like, you know, traditional summer Korean songs. Anyway, so I'm imagining a very pleasant, sweet, naturey date. She said they stopped for ice cream, they biked a lot, they walked a lot, and enjoyed the weather. So after they had such a good date slash first time hanging out as friends, they decided to keep seeing each other and take things slow.
Take it slow for me, baby, go slow.
And she said admittedly they did not see each other that much in the beginning, only maybe once every 2 weeks, but they did stay in like really good, stable communication. It was, you know, did you eat? What did you eat? Did you sleep well? Don't work too hard, you know, cute messages like that. How was your day? And, you know, they talked about some bad students and stressful work. It was really nice. I'm like, oh, that's cute. We love the consistency. But yeah, she said she did not expect the stable communication and was really enjoying getting to know him slowly. So it was another weekend, one of them, you know, their hangouts, and she decided to invite him over to her place and they could have a movie night because it was relentlessly rainy. And I'm like, ooh, it might have been Jangma, like the rainy season. So they decided to watch some movies together, and she said she had every intention of and she says she's normally not that type of girl at all, and you know, she doesn't want to judge other girls or people who do just casually hook up, but it's not her. She just felt a really good connection with him. She felt like he really cared about her. There was so much effort in keeping their relationship fresh and interesting and making it work, so she was really interested in having fun. And at this point, it's been about 2 months since they started seeing each other and hanging out. She decides to move in for a kiss, and they kissed. They made out a little bit, but then she said suddenly he like pulled back and got really serious and looked at her. She was ready to engage and put that punani on him, but he stopped and said, I really like you and I don't know what to do. She's like, I mean, that's great because I like you too, so what's the problem? He says it's my ex. I don't want to be dramatic, but she won't go away. I've blocked calls and texts, blocked her on social media, even tried changing my number. She contacts my friends and makes a new account to contact me. I think I want to delete my social media altogether. She's not stable. She knows I'm seeing someone new, so I think that's why she's back again. So at that point, Ariel's like, oh, well, damn, like she does sound wild. Do you want to dial things back and we can just cool this off? And do you need a break? Do you need space? And you know, she's like, have you gone to the police? You know, this could be serious. He said he attempted to talk to them, but they said they can't really do anything because he's not in danger physically. She hasn't hurt him physically. And I hate how situations like this, people always wait until someone's been hurt before they can say, oh, well, now we can do something and help you. They can't prevent anything. They can only react to the crime, and that really is frustrating. So they just ended up cuddling through the rest of the night. Nothing else further happened, and you know, she said she's a little disappointed, but she could totally understand what he was going through. So fast forward to the next weekend, things are still going well, and they're starting to see each other like more frequently. And they're at the train station underground. They are waiting to catch the train to go to dinner somewhere, just somewhere casual to get some food together. So then she said a woman approached her and asked her if she knew when the next train was coming, which she found odd because not only do you have like Wi-Fi and internet access underground, but there's usually, depending on the station you're at, there's like little screens that show you the train's progress and it counts, you know when it's coming. So she said, oh yeah, it should be here in about 2 minutes. And then the girl said thanks and walked away. She looked over at Hyung and he was just kind of silent, and she's just like, fuck? So he said, come on, let's go take the bus. So while they're walking to go up the stairs to the bus, she's like, why do you want to take the bus? The train is so much faster. He said, that was my ex, let's go. Then Ariel's like, oh my god, what the fuck, why didn't you tell me? I could have told her off. But I mean, let's be real, it's so much better that he didn't do that, because If a group of people witnessed a foreigner and a Korean girl yelling and maybe fighting, who knows what it would have came to, they would have sided with the Korean girl. I mean, I'm sure he would have spoken up for Ariel, but that might not have been enough, and she would have been the victim, and yada yada. So I totally get why he was just like, I don't want to make a scene, let's just go. So, you know, the whole time they're out, he's looking back to make sure she's not behind them. He's looking around, and now that she knows what the girl looks like too, she's just kind of like, the fuck is going on? At first she was like, should we just cancel dinner and just go home? Like, what is this? He's like, no, I'm still really hungry, and I don't want to let her ruin our night. But the whole night, you know, he's paranoid, he's looking at his phone, he's looking over her shoulder, looking over his shoulder. He was quiet, he wasn't himself, and she said the whole night was just off. So the next day, she didn't hear from Hyung. In fact, the next week, she did not hear from Hyung. And, you know, she started to worry about him at that point because it was so unlike him to just not respond. And she's thinking, oh my god, this ex, what if she really finally did something to him? So she has a whole week where her imagination is just running wild, and she's like, what if she threatened me, so now he's keeping his distance? What if she physically hurt him, so he can't be around me or communicate with me? What if he's in the hospital? Like, she's panicking. So she said after what seemed like forever, he finally called her back. He said he was sorry for not talking to her, but he really just didn't know what to do. The fact that she popped up like that and so boldly talked to this girl, if she was following them or whatever she did, but she was there, she knew where they were. She came up and talked to Ariel, and that made him feel really uncomfortable. The ex did her usual, get back with me or I'll unalive myself, and he refused. It was a relationship that should have ended a long time ago, but you kept trying to bring me back in. And then he asked Ariel if she's seen this girl again since the train station, and she's like, no, not that I know of, why? And he said it's because he got a text from the stalker, from the ex, where it was just a picture of her school, like the name of her school, just the picture. That's not a good sign because now you know where she works. So he was worried that she might have interacted with her, she might have seen her or whatever. Ariel says she's not seen this girl, and she's like, look, I don't want to sound like Wonder Woman or anything, but do not worry about me. I've seen this skinny bitch and I can take her. Like, I'm not worried about that at all. I'm worried about you. So then she asked Hyung if he's gone to see this girl, and after a pause, he said he did, but it's because he wanted to try and end things formally face to face. He went to a public place, he had a friend with him, and he just wanted to be like, leave me alone, stop, I'm gonna call the cops, I'm gonna get the police involved if you don't leave me alone. Then Ariel is like, look, you can't blame yourself if this girl chooses to hurt herself. You didn't tell her to do it. You didn't force her to do it. All you did was distance yourself from a toxic situation that was making you unhappy and unhealthy. So she said, you know, this is a lot, and I totally understand if we should call things off, if you're not ready to date yet, because at this point we are more than just friends. I like you, you like me. Let me know if you just need space, like it's totally fine. He said, thank you for being understanding. I'm so sorry all this happened, and I'll be in touch. So they got off the phone, and she's sitting there thinking, yep, that is probably the end. I will probably never hear from him again because this was a lot. And she didn't blame him necessarily, but it was just a really unfortunate situation. So she said in all this time, it was kind of killing her, like not hearing from him, to not message her, because she wanted to message him, but she also wanted to give him space. And she said she just waited and waited. As days turned to weeks, she kind of figured, yeah, that was it. It was a fun little, you know, summer thing, but whatever, it is what it is. And after a whole month, he did indeed message her back. He asked how she was, he asked if she was good, he asked if she was single, she said yes. She said he audibly, you could tell like he was more excited. He was happy and like, oh my god, thank god I haven't messed this up entirely. He asked if she still had feelings for him. She said yes. And he said that's great because now things are better. My ex has a new partner and she's moved on. Ariel's like, oh my god, elaborate further, how did you know about this? And he said that it's all over her social media. A few of his friends said, oh my god, now she's dating this new dude, which I'm like, that poor man.
You poor unfortunate soul. It's sad, but true.
See what I did there? Because Ariel and the Little Mermaid. Sorry. Anyway, he said the first month while they were not speaking, she was still messaging him for like the first week and a half, 2 weeks, and then suddenly she didn't hear anything from him. He started to fear the worst. He thought, oh my god, I think she actually did unalive herself. He didn't hear from her anymore. And suddenly his friends, social media, everything pointed to her being with someone else. He had not heard from her in the last 2 weeks, so he thinks that they're good, and he wants to pick things up with Ariel, and yeah. So they are still together. That was like the first few months of their rocky relationship. And the way this girl ended this email, she just said, oh, by the way, we're expecting a baby soon. I was like, oh my god, you pregnant? Like, she just, you know, this whole story ever so casually, and then just mentioned that, yeah, they're still together, by the way, I'm pregnant. Which is amazing. So, like, they got a baby coming. It's a really nice, happy ending with a crazy roller coaster origin story. Crazy when the exes get involved and the exes want to get in the way. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you did, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Annyeong.